Our case study is looking into the Deepwater Horizon incident, also known as the Gulf of Mexico oil spill, which occurred on April 20th, 2010, when an oil drilling rig exploded and sank approximately 41 miles off the coast of Louisiana. This event is known as the biggest oil spill in U.S. history, with an estimated number of 4 million barrels of oil spilling into the ocean and taking the lives of 11 workers and leaving 17 injured. The oil spill occurred when a newly implemented concrete core that was meant to seal the well was hit with a sudden surge of natural gas, causing it to break. The oil rig was located on the seabed 4,900 feet and spanned over 18,000 feet into the rock it was drilled into. The natural gas traveled up to the deepwater rigs, igniting and subsequently exploding. The entire rig stayed afloat for 2 days, until the morning of April 22nd, when the entire rig sank, causing the oil to be spilled into the ocean. It is estimated that over 1,300 miles of coastline were affected by the oil spill, with 125 miles of oil covering the 400-mile Louisiana coastline. It is reported that 800,000 birds and 65,000 sea turtles have perished since the accident, with over 8,000 animals being reported dead only after 6 months of the accident. BP Exploration and Production Incorporated had to pay around $64 billion in overall cleanup costs and legal fees as of 2016. The first responders used 5.5 million feet of containment boom as a barrier in order to stop the oil from spreading. Cleanup efforts has involved about 1.8 million gallons of dispersants being dumped into the containment water.
Clauses 72.2i, a, b, and c were violated by the negligence of British Petroleum. After analyzing the case, we came up with the alternatives to handle the situation. Option A is to pause work on the rig so that the necessary repairs can be made. Option B is to decommission and dismantle the rig. Option C is to sell the rig to a company that is willing to make the proper repairs. There are multiple ways to go about this, but we are limited to 3. Of all the options, A does not violate any clauses, unlike options B and C. The best decision is option A, which is to pause work on the rig and make the necessary repairs.
Legal analysis. This case involves, number 1, Court of Negligence. Its President, Donahue v. Stevenson, 1932, to test, determine if the defendant owed a duty of care and failed, causing foreseeable harm, leading to deaths and injuries. Number 2 is Environmental Tort. Its President, Rylands v. Fletcher, 1868, Smith v. Inco, 2011, or Wong v. Fraser Hill, 2018. To test, determine if the use of property was appropriate. Was the use dangerous? Did the material escape? And did the escape cause damage? Number 3 is strict liability. Its President, Rylands v. Fletcher, 1868, to test, determine if the defendant is strictly liable for damages. The plaintiff is the U.S. Department of Justice. The defendants include British Petroleum, Transocean, and Halliburton. Proving the legal concepts. Number 1, Court of Negligence. BP, Transocean, and Halliburton owed a duty of care but failed, leading to 11 deaths, 17 injuries, environmental harm to Gulf of Mexico, and economic loss. Number 2, Environmental Tort. The oil spill caused significant damage to ecosystems and wildlife, leading to economic loss. BP violated the CWA, receiving fines, and had to compensate for violating the OPA. Number 3, strict liability. Deepwater drilling is a hazardous activity and subjects them to strict liability due to the fact that the spill caused public health damage, deaths, and injuries. Based on the legal principles and the application of the tests for tort of negligence, environmental tort, and strict liability, the court would likely find BP, Transocean, and Halliburton liable for the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. They would be ordered to pay for compensatory damages for loss of life, injuries, environmental damage, and economic loss. Due to the severity and negligence, punitive damages might also be imposed to prevent further misconduct. Additionally, the court could mandate restorative measures such as funding, environmental cleanup, and economically supporting effective communities.